G'day everyone, my name's Fraz. Welcome back to the channel. If you've got an FJ Cruiser or even a Prado 150 and you've lifted the vehicle 2 inches or above, what you may find is that you've got a little bit of rear end bump steer. So what that's caused from is basically the Panhard bar, instead of being nice and parallel, it's actually right on an angle. What that's doing is basically throwing out all your geometry for your diff and pushing your diff towards the driver's side or right hand side of the vehicle. As a result, what's happening is the diff is already partially through its travel, and what it's going to do is basically cause a bit of a vibration or a bump. There's lots of complicated explanations on the causes, and there's lots of diagrams and all these sorts of things all over the internet. What I'm going to try and do is simplify the explanation as much as I possibly can. What I'll do is I'll put our FJ up on the lift. I'll show you where my Panhard rod or bar is set currently with a correction kit. There's a number of correction kits available. There's a bolt-on solution and a weld-on solution. I've chosen to go for the weld-on solution because I actually know a welder and an engineer, so it was quite easy for me to have that fitted. However, if you don't have the luxury of knowing such a person, you might want to try the bolt-on solution. On the factory setting, your Panhard rod will be parallel or completely flat. What I'll do is I'll show you mine set up in the current configuration, then I'll lift the vehicle and show you probably what yours looks like if you've lifted the FJ. Or while I've got it on the lift, what I'll be able to demonstrate is as the vehicle goes up, you'll be able to see how the angle of that Panhard rod changes. And it'll also show you that the diff is actually moving to one side. So I'll try and explain it the best I possibly can. I'm no engineer, I'm more of a mechanical idiot. So at the end of the day, get your own advice. This is just to try and explain why you may be having a bump in the back of your vehicle. I actually noticed it more so when we tow the van. What happens is the rear of the van or the rear of the vehicle is moving up and down quite a lot, and we're compensating with the steering left to right, left to right. I thought it was steering racks, wheel bearings, all sorts of things. Actually turned out to be the Panhard rod. So I'll get into it, I'll get the car on the lift and give you a bit of a demo. Have a look at a standard ride height FJ Cruiser or Prado 150. That's what you'll see, that the Panhard rod is pretty much straight or level with the ground. As you can see, my Panhard rod is virtually flat. It's actually a bit of an optical illusion with the cross brace there on the chassis because that isn't actually even. This is the solution made by a company in America called Keith, I believe is the pronunciation. I'll put a link in the description for you if you're interested in the weld-on bracket. As you can see, it goes pretty much perfectly flat. Before, it had a real angle up to the driver's side. I'll lift the FJ now and give you a bit of a look. I've just sped this video up a little bit just to give a bit more of a demonstration. So that's the level ride height. Then when you lift it up, if your bar is about that sort of angle, it's not correct. It's an extension from the standard bracket. So the bottom hole is where it would normally go in the standard position. Then there's a middle bolt hole and then a high bolt hole, I suppose, if you've got like a 3-inch plus lift. Just insert this photo of what it looks like prior to welding. You're probably wondering why I just didn't fit a adjustable Panhard rod. Well, the reason for that is that solution technically isn't correct, because what you're doing is you're setting that tie rod at the right height, but it's still on the angle. So it sure moves the diff into the correct position, but because it's on the angle, it's still going through the motion of the suspension. So if you're correcting the position of the standard rod back to the standard position, well then the geometry for the suspension and the position for the diff is correct. However, if you just move the diff back to the central position at ride height, when it's going through suspension travel, you're actually making that worse because the rod is technically in the wrong spot still, and it's partially through, or in the position partially through its suspension travel. So it can actually compound it and make it worse than if you were to just put a bracket on. That's why these bracket solutions are out there. It's up to you, obviously. If you've got one of those extendable Panhard bars and you've still got that shutter through the body, this is probably the issue and the reason why you've still got the shutter and poor handling characteristics. Well, that's about it for the Panhard bar correction bracket. Like I said before, if you're getting that bump steer in the rear of your vehicle from you're basically going over bumps and it feels like the back of the car is stepping out to one side, it could be your Panhard bar. There are bolt-on solutions, like I said before. I haven't had any experience with those. Like I said, I've just done the weld-on solution because that was the one that was convenient for me, and I've got experts in the know. You may also find that the suspension in the back of your car is feeling very harsh and rough. That could also be associated with this same issue. Got something out of this video? I know a lot of the viewers aren't subscribers. If you got some value out of the episode, please give us a thumbs up and maybe a comment. Even if you think I'm wrong, stick a comment in. I'm always learning as well. As I said, this is just more for informational purposes. You may even not be aware that this could be an issue. So I've noticed a dramatic improvement in the overall handling of the FJ. Even the way it turns into corners is slightly different. It's more direct. You know, going down the bumpy roads, you know, if there's a bump that's say across the road, it just travels straight over it without that shutter in the back of the vehicle. So as I said, thanks again, and catch you on the next one.